Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. 易华章. Dr. 易华章got his PhD degree from the Missouri Columbia University in the United States. His major is technology leadership and school leadership, public relationship and marketing. He is a very famous and distinguished professor in Taiwan. Right now, he is Director Institute of Education Administration in Chang University, and is also Associate Dean, Department of Education in Chang University. Today, he will talk about the I-Visa of technology leadership in Taiwan. 张教授，你们对他都很熟悉。
Professor Chang is no stranger to any one of you. So without further ado, let's welcome Professor Chang Yihua.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor to be here to deliver my speech regarding I-Visa model. Before I deliver my speech, I would like to share you guys a story. When I studied abroad in the US in 1999, I tried to figure out the title for my dissertation. Then I tried to combine technology and leadership for my variables. After that, I tried to use structural equation modeling to verify the technology leadership model. I found that 5 variables, including interpersonal communication and skills, vision, planning, infrastructure support, and technology, evaluation, assessment, research. The 5 variables could predict the effectiveness of technology leadership. Several years later, I refined my model into I-Visa model. I picked up the 5 letters of the 5 variables into I-Visa. 1999年，我到美国
When I was studying in the University of Missouri in 1999, I tried to incorporate technology and leadership and finish my dissertation. I used this structural parameters, and with these 5 different parameters, we access the relationship, and we found the vision, communication, and assessment. These 5 parameters can help us effectively predict the results of technology leadership. Years later, I reviewed my model and found the 5 parameters and I identify them now as I-Visa. They actually stand for the 5 parameters. And Professor Wu asked me, when will I have I-MasterCard? I said I need Professor Wu's support, and I can have an I-MasterCard. As you can see here, what is I-Visa? I is interpersonal communication skills. That is the first letter of I-Visa. And V is vision, planning, and management. And the second I here is infrastructure and technology support. And S is step development training. A is assessment. Together they are I-Visa. Many people, educators, talk about technology leadership. Professor Wu often challenges me the difference between my model and other people's model of technology leadership. And here's the difference. My model is Technology Leadership 2.0. That is called I-Visa. You can keep improving the model, of course, so as to adapt to the real-life situation and the changing times. I-Visa is not easy to remember for Chinese speakers. So I gave I-Visa a Chinese name, that is Ai Wei Shang, meaning love first. So I-Visa sounds just like Ai Wei Shang in Chinese. Why do I call it love first? Just like Dean Luo said, as educators, you need professionalism, you need passion, enthusiasm, with eye contact with the students, you care for them. When educators are teaching with love, we are making progress and we are advancing. So love first also stands for advancement and innovation. With the love and the innovation in schools and in the classrooms, and finally, the last letter, Chinese letter, first, or top, it means that the education just goes up and up. That's the Chinese name I give to I-Visa. Love first with innovation and making progress every day. According to a professor from USC, Professor Rogers, he said, for one ideology or idea to disseminate in an organization, you need at least 34% of the people adopters. In other words, we talk about big data in classroom today. We need the basic data to make it possible in the school. You only need to research and do the math and check if you have more than 34% of your classrooms as smart classrooms. If that is the case, it will be an effective program. If I have IRS right now, we can use the IRS system to check your comprehension actually now. Here we see the design of the logo. The eye here is a seed, and it also looks like a person who's flying up. So we see I and V as a body. That is I Visa, love first with innovation. What is I Visa? Today we're not here to tell you what you should do. Professor Wu reminded me that it is only out of fashion when we remind people. The idea should be, if you do not do this, you will be falling behind the 4 schools that we'll talk about during my keynote. I will tell you what you will encounter if you don't do it, instead of what you should do. Through 5 effective methods, we make it more practical for technology leadership and teaching in schools. I is interpersonal communication skills. Principals, presidents, and the leaders here, we are communicating with our colleagues every day. Administration is no exception. When you are pushing forward innovation in schools, what's really valuable is communication.
Why
do we need iVisa? That is the formula for success. It enables you to innovate, enables you to level up, enables you to facilitate your students' education learning. And each and every day we're making a progress. In the United States, it was a study that picked 8 representative schools for leading technology-rich schools. They did 9 things and made their schools the role models for technology-rich schools. What are the 9 things? First of all, clear vision. To have clear visions is very important. The forum today has a vision for using big data and technology to innovate education. That is the vision for the school. And the second one is distributed leadership. No one single leader can lead with his one hand. He needs other leaders to help and work together. Third, planning, and more planning. To make the visions, to realize the visions and the missions, we need clear planning. And 4, Funding, sources.
没有资金，没办法
Funding is of great
采购
importance,
infrastructure。
and without the
第
funding,
五
you
个，必
can't
须要有
purchase the needed materials.
infrastructure support， 要做创新教学，要建构智慧校园，
For
你必须要有
building a
基础
smart
设施。
schools, you need the infrastructure.
第六个
And 6,
，ongoing professional development，
ongoing
教
professional
师
development.
专业发展
We
太重要
need the professional development for the educators, for teachers. It's very important. It's easy to have visions, and you can find resources,
不是很难，
and you
必
can
须
plan,
服于老师的教师专业
but
发展。
everything that we just talked about need to serve the professional development for the educators. And the next one is very challenging, that is to injecting
因为领导者可能4
the
年就离开，
culture and DNA of innovation, because the leaders might leave the school after 4 or 8 years. But if the leaders can give the environment a great culture for innovation, the innovation will stay in the school even after the leaders leave the place.
需要领导者交接的话，
And if we
那
need
就没有后续，
the
所以
leaders
必须
to
要有注入创新
hand
文
over
化。
this culture to the next term
有
of
了
the
创新
leaders,
文化，
then
有
it's,
专业发展，
the culture will be gone very easily.
重新改变课程
And the
的教学
purpose of having that culture, of course, means to change the curriculum and the way of teaching.
学合作
And the ninth
partnership
is collaborations and partnerships.
8所学校透
The 8 schools that we talked about,
重要
through
的
these 9 things and principles that they uphold, they made their schools the
的
exemplary schools for technology.
做 IV 厂比较容易。
And the 9 things might be a lot to
接
you.
下来
I think iVisa
分享
is well enough.
海峡两岸4所学校。如果
And
没有
now
人到
I
的
would
学
like
校
to share with you examples from the 4 schools from here in Taiwan and also in China.
学习努力的空间。在座有一位
If you don't see your schools here,
是我的
don't be upset.
同事
You can work harder and let's improve together.
带我们拭目以待。
I was struggling if I should put the experimental elementary school of NCCU here. Let's just take a look. It's very challenging for me to pick the 4 schools. I really have to visit these schools
才能够提炼出这4所典范学校。好，
and
我
make
们来
my
看
decision.
第1所、第2所、第3所、第4所是哪些？
So what are the 4 schools?
北新国小，来掌声鼓励。
Beijing Elementary School, a round of applause. Principal Zheng is here, please.
创新台北北新国小。
Beijing Elementary School.
第2所学校大附
And the
大
second
有
one
大附大贵，桃园市大有国中。
From Taoyuan City, Dayou Junior High
陈
School.
校长，
Principal
有位的校长
Chen.
第3所上杭一中，
From Hangzhou,
有一位专家
Shanghang
他告诉我，他1年
Middle School.
30次
An expert was behind. An expert actually told me that he flies to this school 30 times a year. That is Professor Wang Xu.
第4所是吴教授告诉我必须放上去的，
And the 4th school,
山东省实验场地，因为他从
Professor Wu asked me to put it here, Shandong Province Elementary School, because it's from 0 to 1.
学校
And the students enjoy a very different
那这所学校
education
呢
from the educators, and also the educators have professional development training.
200位会员，很多人会去学习，所以
The 4 schools will be very busy after today. Why? Because more than 200
我想真心
educators here
明天我们很多
after today will visit the 4 schools to learn from them.
最失望是我贺哥啊，
My brother, who's the host of the forum today, is actually disappointed. I struggle a lot and thought about putting his school on the list and another Muzha Junior High School. But I came up with these results. Just a round of applause for the 4 great examples. Communication is the key for Beixin Elementary School. Dayou Junior High, they have formal and informal communication. For Sanghang Middle School, they have meetings for teachers and the students. And for Shandong Elementary School, they communicate. The educator and the teachers communicate with the parents a lot. What's important is to make the invisible visible. If you tell a 57-year-old principal to make a huge difference and change, they might not be willing to do so. But how do we communicate and convince them to use technology? You should say, Dayou Junior High School has a great English teacher. Let's go learn from her. And Guangming Junior High School can be a great example too. It should be the principal has great methods and we can learn from them. And what will happen after we come back? The mindset will become, after you experience the difference, you will see that if you don't do it, you will be falling behind. It was Professor Zhao who was to comment on the classroom today. He once said, the technology will never replace the teachers. But teachers who use technology will replace teachers who do not use it. Dayou Junior High and Guangming Junior High will not replace the other schools, but will be more attractive for the parents when they are choosing the schools for their kids. We should actually also add Xing'an Elementary School to the list.
I'll use Beijing Primary School as an example to introduce about how the principal communicates with officials, volunteers, parents, students, and faculties. There are many meetings the principal needs to organize with different stakeholders. So the principal needs to communicate with the faculties, teachers, volunteers, other officials, parents, as well as student groups. They need to communicate with government officials to receive more resources. So all these stakeholders are parties that the principal needs to communicate with. In this process, we need vision, planning, and management. The school needs to have clear visions and very specific action and strategies to achieve those visions. For example, in this Beijing Primary School, they have clear objective and clear visions, and in the Dayou Middle School, they focus on they have plans for mountain climbing, They want to bring students into the mountains. So this kind of process, mountain climbing process, is important to their schools and to their program. And in the high school in Shanghai, they focus on how they can spread their influence and how they can spread their programs to different locations and different schools in the local area. So each of these schools have different visions and different programs. I'll give you an example. In Shandong in China, they want to provide a different and information environments on campus. And the school is also planning to disseminate all different informations to different stakeholders. Regarding to infrastructure, the two schools in Taiwan aim to have smart classroom in every single class, and both of these schools have reached at the 34% threshold. At least 34% of their classroom now are smart classrooms, and other schools are following up and also improving very fast. I'll give you the example from Shanghai. They already install a lot of hardware and they integrate a lot of software. Due to time constraint, we don't have time to talk about staff development, but for example, I'll give you a very brief overview. In two of these local schools in Taiwan, they focus on professional developments, and they provide different classes and trainings for teachers, and some teachers also form their own communities to discuss together. The school in Shandong provide trainings to teachers as well as students. In the high school in Taiwan, Dayou High School, they have this program called sandwich program. They start with trainings, followed by teaching and practicing. Last but not the least, they will receive feedbacks. So tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, you will be able to witness this kind of sandwich program in the local school. Assessment, evaluation, and research is an important step in the process. All these schools focus on evaluations, and they evaluate teachers as well as students, so students can offer feedbacks after the program. And several schools in China provided incentives for teachers to do more research and to optimize their teaching lessons. And in this school in Shanghai, they will review how teachers and evaluate how teachers utilize those applications and utilize all the hardware and software that they are offered by the school. And these training programs in these schools also help teachers to be familiar with all these facilities and software. Incentives is very important, as we mentioned before. They will evaluate and they will reward the best teachers. This kind of incentive programs may be more difficult to implement in Taiwan, but the school in Shanghai is achieving these methods. Some people may be more unfamiliar with assessments, evaluations, and feedbacks. It's not actually about the whole school. When we do evaluation, we do not focus on teachers or students. So we are using technologies to improve learning performance and learning process. We are using technologies to understand how students learn and what student has learned. We are also using technologies to collect big data to identify potential issues and potential problems. In this iVisa, we are integrating our commitments and our innovating practice to drive performance. So these are some of the objectives that we have for iVisa program. We need professional developments. Besides this, we need to utilize a lot of artificial intelligence to collect big data, to deliver smart teaching and learning. We can connect more people through internet, and we hope that we can deliver all this performance for everyone and for more people. Thank you very much. Thanks for your informative presentation. He has been always says that we need to be committed to deliver performance, and we want to drive the best performance. This is a model, iVisa, that we can actually learn from, and also we can utilize all this kind of models to achieve more. We would like to thank Professor Chang for your presentation.